Hi everyone, thanks for listening to another episode of Dogman Encounters Radio. I'm Vic Cundiff and I'll be your host for the show. If you've had an encounter of your own and would like to speak with me whether in private or on the show, please go to dogmanencounters.com and submit a report. I'd love to hear from you. Before we bring on tonight's guest, I wanted to bring something to your attention. In the next week or so, podcast versions of the show will be available via subscription only. To find out more about this, please go to the show's website at dogmanencountersradio.com and visit the How to Listen page. One of the perks of having a subscription to the show is going to be the fact that you'll be able to listen to episodes of the show commercial free. Another perk is going to be the fact that I'm going to be offering an app for the show. If you have an app, you'll be able to download episodes and use your mobile device to listen on the go. If you don't want to purchase a subscription to the show and you don't mind the commercials, just go to the Dogman Encounters YouTube channel and you'll be able to listen free of charge as always. Alright, let's bring on tonight's guest. Tonight's guest is Dwayne. Dwayne, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great, and you?
I'm on here tonight. We're going to talk about some things. So, yeah, everything is okay.
Good. I'm looking forward to talking with you about these things. Please give us a brief bio on yourself.
Okay, I am 43 years old. I was married for 20 years. I have 2 beautiful kids. I'm a very religious man. I'm a straight up forward person. So, yeah, that's about it.
Dwayne, you've been telling family and friends about the encounter you had for 20 years now. Without revealing any details about the encounter, what kind of responses have you gotten from them?
A lot of my family and friends, they'll listen to the story and they will say, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe this happened to you." A couple other people will say, "Oh, you must be crazy." I brush it off because I know what my wife and I have seen. So I just take it, with a grain of salt. I'm like, whatever. I just moved on.
If there is a certain mentality that's better suited to have an experience like this than others, it would be yours. So at least you have that going for you.
Vic, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not sure if that is correct because till this day, 20 years later, when I think about it, I'm still spooked about it. My wife, she still remembers it like it was yesterday. So I'm not too sure about that. I'm not the right person, to, this happened to, but I deal with it.
Well, it's never going to be easy, but compared to how it could be for someone else, I think it is going to be easier for you to deal with this than most people. But you know you better than anyone else, so if you don't think that's the case, I definitely believe you. Before you and your family had that encounter, what were your thoughts on the existence of unrecognized creatures?
I never looked into any type of strange things going on, any creatures. We just lived our life, husband and wife, and my kids. Never thought of anything, to this right here. Never in my wildest dreams. So, no, I have never thought of nothing like this before.
That's totally understandable. After you had your encounter, how much research did you do trying to figure out what it was you had seen that night?
Well, I can tell you this, Vic. This happened 20 years ago. There was really no internet or anything like that. So when internet finally came about, the wife and I, we always talked about it. What did we see that night? Let's go online and find out what we can find out about this animal, if anybody else has seen it. So it was very limited. So we went on ahead and washed our hands clean and said, okay, well, we really didn't find nothing that talked about the creature that we seen. So we left it alone.
Unfortunately, 20 years ago, the internet was not what it is today, so I can only imagine how little info there was out there for you, unfortunately. So that couldn't have been easy. When exactly did this encounter happen? You said it was roughly 20 years ago, but do you remember a date or exactly when this happened?
This happened, I want to say back in 1996. I say around the summertime in July is when this encounter happened.
What's the area like where you had that encounter?
Well, it was on the edge of town, which is the south side of Quincy, Illinois. In that area, there is just one apartment complex that was on the edge of town. So there wasn't too many people out there. Once you pass the apartment complex, it goes to a rural area. So, yeah, it wasn't too populated where this area was. Once you pass the destination where we've seen this creature at, this animal, then it starts to get pretty populated, but not too much because it's a small town.
I'm sure there weren't very many people around if there weren't that many homes in that area in the first place. What time of night did you tell me this happened in the pre-interview?
This happened between 3:30 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, that is really late. All right, Dwayne, let's get to this encounter now. Please give us every last detail that comes to mind.
That night, I left my uncle's house. It was around, I'll say, 3:15 in the morning. My wife said, I'm going to go ahead and drive because I know you're tired. So we packed the kids in the car. So I'm in the passenger seat. As soon as I get in, I pull the lever, I lean back, I close my eyes. So my wife's driving, and I say around maybe 10 minutes later, after she got through the parking lot, leaving my uncle's apartment complex, she turns on that road. She slams on the brakes. So I'm thinking, honestly, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, what the hell is going on? She screams. I mean, I hear a bloody scream. I've never heard her to this day scream like this. So I raised up in the seat, and I see that creature. It's staring at us. I freaked out. I started screaming. I tell my wife, move the car. I mean, I'm yelling at her. She's screaming. She's crying, going crazy. I'm going crazy. The thing just looked at us. I mean, it's looking at us, and it showed its teeth. The teeth were so sharp. The skin was a pinkish color. Its legs, if you can think of like a hyena, the front legs are longer. The back legs are very short. That's what it looked like. And I don't even know what to do. My kids are in the car. My kids woke up when this was going on. My wife is screaming and crying. I'm yelling, freaked out. So that's what I saw. It was that in front of our car.
After that happened, what happened next?
After that happened, the animal jumped out of the way. There was 2 cemeteries in between that road, which is a 2-lane street. The animal jumped out of the way, and the car was stalled. It was parked, and only thing we can do was focus on where the animal was going. It hopped from side to side. I say about 10 feet in the air. It was hopping over tombstones, and then it disappeared. It was gone into the night. So that's what happened.
Did your wife ever tell you where it had come from when it came out in front of the car?
Well, the wife said when I had the seat laid back, I wasn't asleep. I just had my eyes closed. She said it just came in front of the car. It was running across. And that's when she slammed on the brakes. And that's when I woke up because I got jerked to the dashboard when she slammed on them brakes because it wasn't a little stop or whatever. It was a hard stop. So that's what made me wake up and say, what the heck is going on? And when I raised up and looked, and that thing was right in front of me. To this day, 20 years later, I still have the picture in my mind on what it looked like.
Oh, I'm sure you do. When you woke up and saw that creature right in front of the car staring at you, did it look like it was ready to attack you, or did it seem more interested in getting away? I know you said it did show its teeth.
Well, I can tell you this. It was like surprised. It was just looking at the both of us. It was looking right there. Its eyes was just focused. I can see everything about that animal. I can see it. It stood there with its mouth open, and it just stared for a good, I want to say, a good minute. No less than a minute, just staring. I mean, it's right there, and we're just going crazy in that car. And I'm telling her to put it in reverse, and she could not do it because she was freaked out. You know, she could not reverse the car or anything else. She was stunned. I was stunned too, which I understand. After the thing jumped out the way, I mean, if I can go back and just show you what it was doing, it was jumping so high in the air, back and forth through the cemetery until it disappeared. I mean, it was craziness.
Oh, it sure sounds like it. Since you got such a good view of it, please do the best you can to describe what it looked like.
Okay. It had a muscular shape. Its back legs were curved. Like a German Shepherd. If you ever look at the German Shepherd's hind legs, it's like curved. It was curved. It had short, the legs were really short, but the front legs were really long. Its head, if you look at a wolf, just imagine a wolf. Imagine 3 to 4 times bigger than the biggest wolf you've seen right now. It had no hair on it whatsoever. The snout was longer than normal because of the head. The teeth were, it was real, they looked sharp, jagged. Very, when it opened its mouth, that's when it got serious. Because we didn't know what it was at first or anything. But when the thing opened its mouth with them teeth, that's when it got like really serious. That's when we just lost it. Because we didn't know if it was going to come through the window or the windshield or what. I had no idea. So, yeah, the ears, they were pointy ears. The claws. The claws were pretty, I don't know if they were long or not. I'm not sure. But I know the hands of it was very big. And that's what I remember of it.
You said it didn't have any hair on it. Did it look like it had mange, or was it totally devoid of any hair?
Oh, no mange. No mange. Just like if you buy like chicken in the store, if you buy like a whole chicken, the skin on it, you look at the skin, the feathers are gone. Imagine it being a pinkish color. That's what the skin looked like on it. No hair, anything. It was just that color of that pinkish, wrinkled up skin. That's what really caught my attention. I'm like, wow, that stuck in my head. I'm like, man, this thing was a pinkish color and it had wrinkled skin. And the only thing I could compare it to was like a chicken skin. That's it.
That had to be awfully freaky to see. Before we spoke, did you know that other eyewitnesses had reported seeing dogmen without any hair on them?
No, I have not. Like I said, I went on the internet when the internet became so where you can find information at. I came across something that said, this is what you saw. But the picture did not look like what we seen. Nothing. So, like I told my wife, I said, something, I don't know. And she said the same thing. Dwayne, this ain't what we seen. So we just left everything alone. Years go by. Never knew anything about dogmen, no nothing. Until finally, I went online and I seen this. So, no, we never knew anything about this thing, really.
Well, I'm so glad you found out about the show. How tall was this thing? Is it sitting there or standing there in front of your car?
Like I told you, my wife hit it, bumped it, whatever. I don't know. But it was sitting down. And I can tell you right now, it stood about 7 to 8 foot tall, like leaned back. Like a dog begging for its treat, that's what it looked like. If you say up, up, up to a dog, the dog gets on his hind legs. That's what it looked like. But it clearly overtowered the car that I was in. Clearly overtowered. And my wife, she's 5'5". And when she gets out the car that I've had, it was up to her mouth, whatever. So when I looked at the animal, when it was right there, it was looking down at us. I mean, completely. And I told her, I said, wow, after maybe a couple months later, she was able to talk about it. And I said, yeah, it was about 7 to 8 foot tall when it stood up. Or when it was basically almost sitting down, but it wasn't sitting down. It was on its hind legs.
That's pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
How far did you live from where that encounter happened?
I lived about 5 miles from there.
That's still too close for comfort.
Yes, sir.
How did your wife handle that experience?
Vic, I'm going to tell you right now, if you talk about this right now, if she was on this phone, she would tear up and start crying to this day. When we were married, I would tell my friends, we'd be at the house, having a barbecue. I'll tell my friends what happened. And as soon as it comes out of my mouth, she would leave, go in the house, and start crying. But as far as me, hey, I'm more of, yes, it happened. Yes, I was scared. But I'm a little bit stronger than her. I've always, the thing that kept me going is I was wanting to find out what this was. That was my drive. And you know something, Vic? Man, you're the closest thing that came to me finding out what this was. And I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I just wish I could do more to help. That's the most frustrating thing about this whole thing. You were just talking about your ex-wife's response to that incident. What you didn't tell us was what happened right after that experience.
As soon as that happened, when whatever it was, the creature, I don't know. When it left, the wife was still screaming. The car, She started it back up because it died because it was a stick shift automobile. And as soon as we got home, the wife flipped out and she said, I'm leaving. If you don't want to leave, I'm taking my kids and we're going. So that morning of that same night, 3 o'clock a.m., at 8 o'clock a.m., I went to the U-Haul facility. I rented a U-Haul truck. Now, I'm going to remind you, I had a good job working for the city of Quincy, Illinois. My wife had a good job. We packed everything up within them hours and moved to Atlanta, Georgia. Now, I can tell you right now, I'm being very honest about this. I would not lie, Lord knows. My family will tell you that we left that morning because of this incident. And when she said, I cannot live here no more, that's when I said, you know something? I gotta go too. Because it freaked me out so bad that that's all I wanted to do was just leave the area that we lived in.
Were you concerned for the safety of your family who stayed behind?
Yes, sir. It was one of them things where after seeing what I seen, I said, you know something? This is too close to home. I agree with my wife. I got that U-Haul truck that morning, packed up everything. We didn't have boxes or anything. I just shoved everything in that U-Haul truck untouched, and we made our way to Atlanta, Georgia. My mom even said, I called her at around 4:30 that morning. I said, Mother, I said, I'm leaving. She's like, what happened? I couldn't even talk. I said, I'm going to give the phone to Lisa. Maybe she can explain to you what's going on. Lisa grabbed the phone and was talking to my mom. My mom could not understand what she was saying. So she called me back and I said, Mom, something happened here I'm not comfortable with. I said, the best thing to do is we need to move right now. So, yes, we moved that morning, left Quincy, Illinois, and went to Atlanta, Georgia. I left my job. I was working for the city of Quincy. I was making very good money. I'm a young man, 22 years old. So everything was, perfect. I had a house, all that. Now, for me to go ahead and just move, something triggered that.
Before you had that encounter, your uncle did something really strange. What did he do?
Okay, this still freaks me out right now. I wish my uncle was still alive. God bless his heart. He died from cancer. But that night, we went to the store, little corner store. It was probably around 1 a.m. Went there. We bought some things, beer, some jerky, for the kids, whatever. So we leave from there. He was in I think it was probably a 78 Ford station wagon. So we're going back to his house. And of course, you have to pass through both of the cemeteries on each side of the highway. It was a memorial cemetery with veterans and everything else there. So, everything was cool. So as we're leaving and we're going down that road, he makes the right-hand turn into the cemetery. So I'm thinking to myself, what is he doing? So we get to a certain destination. He shuts off the car and he says to me, he says, Wayne, you're going to see something tonight. I freaked that out. I'm like, Jeff, please start the car and let's go. He's trying to start the car. The car will not start. After about 3 minutes, it cranked over and we left. When I got back to my aunt and uncle's house, I told my wife, I said, Lisa, I said, my uncle told me we was going to see something tonight. She laughed it off, whatever. So, I didn't think nothing of it. But that night, going home, and as God as my witness right now, I will not lie about this. That's when we seen that creature. Lord knows right now, I would not lie.
Yeah, that's a little too ironic. Did you ever ask that uncle for more details about what he wanted you to see that night?
When I told the uncle what happened, yes, he was surprised. Yes, his wife was surprised. The crazy thing about it, when we packed up that day, and my uncle and I was very close, very close. He called me. I didn't answer him back for a couple hours. Then finally answered the phone. He says, Wayne, what you doing? I said, Jeff, I said, I'm on my way to Atlanta to your sister's house, which is my mother. He's like, what the happened? And I told him what I seen that night. Yes, he freaked out. He's like, you're lying. I said, Jeff, I will not lie to you about what happened. Okay. So my aunts and uncles all got into it. Yeah, Wayne left, and Lisa, everything, their jobs and all that scene. And I said, yeah, this is very serious. I said, I cannot live here no more after what I seen. I said, Lisa will not, which is my ex-wife, she said, I don't want to live in this evil place anymore. And believe me, we're Christian people. I will not lie about this for no money or anything like that. Only thing I was wanting was answers to what we've seen all these years. But the strangest thing, what my uncle said, and, right now I got tears in my eyes about this, is when my mama said, Dwayne, I've heard about this story when it first happened. She says, your uncle was taking pictures of his twin kids. And when he got the pictures developed, the thing was curled up on his patio. And right now, that's freaking me that out because I didn't even know. I promise you right now, God is my witness.
How long after that incident that you had did that happen where he took the photo and saw it curled up on his patio?
It was about 2 months later. 2 months is when the twins were born. Is when he took that picture. And my grandma was making little jokes because the reason why I left, because they all know the reason why my wife and I packed up everything and left. My grandma said a joke was like, yeah, it's following you back to... No. She said, I heard that creature is there in Georgia. Fun and games. But my uncle, he said to my mother, before he died, he said, Angie, he says, I took a picture of the twins and I seen that thing on my porch in my picture. I mean, he went nuts over it. told my mother, and he told my mom, he says, Angie, do not say anything because I don't want nobody to know about what I seen. He told my mother that, and he passed away. So I don't know what he said. I wish I could have talked to him before he passed away about what he's seen.
Yeah, that would have been nice if you could have had that conversation, but there's no way to do that now.
No, it's not.
Considering what you saw that night, is there any way that family or someone else could have just been playing a prank on you?
No. There's no way. There's no family that was there where I was at. As far as like what this thing looked like, it wasn't no, what's that thing going around, the clown incidents, Bigfoot, man in fur. It was nothing like that. My ex-wife and I know what we've seen, and I promise you, I will put my hand on a stack of Bibles and swear that I seen what I seen. 20 years have went by. I've been wondering if anybody else has seen what we seen.
They have.
Oh, man.
I know, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. A dynamic of all this that we haven't even covered yet is the fact that you had your 2 kids in the back seat while all this was going on. How did they respond to all this?
After the chaos, the screaming, and everything else, my little girl, I think she was 3. She doesn't remember nothing. Nothing. But my son, only thing he remembers, he says, Dad, he says, I remember you and Mom screaming, but I didn't know what to look at. He says, I looked out the window in the back on the side, because the side mirrors, side windows, he's like, I don't know what y'all guys were screaming about. And of course, we told him what happened. And he's like, whoa, are you serious? And we told him the story, of course, like we told everybody else. And he said, Mom, Dad, I remember you guys screaming, but I don't remember anything that I've seen. Because he was in a car seat in the back. So I could think that the headrest was blocking the view and everything else. So I said, okay, he don't remember. But all I know, if my ex-wife wouldn't have seen what I seen today, I would say, it wasn't nothing. It was a joke. No. I woke up and not even sleep. I just had my eyes closed until them brakes came on. I don't know if it was a deer in the middle of the road, whatever. A person, she put on the brakes. That's why we stopped. I get up, of course, naturally, I'm her husband, to see what's going on. And I see that thing looking at us with them teeth growling and everything else, the skin color. I mean, I've seen the thing. And for 20 years, I always wonder what it was, because still, to this day, it haunts us.
You just mentioned all the time, all those years you spent trying to figure out what this thing was that you had seen that night. You told me that before we spoke for the first time, you had an opinion on what it might have been. Please tell us about that now.
Okay, when the internet came out, I was like, oh, me and the wife was like sitting down. We're like, we're going to find out what this is. So we did research. Come to find out, they said it was a devil dog. They said they seen this animal in the Midwest, and it was a creature or animal that was back in the biblical times, way back when. So that's all we had to go about. I'm like, oh, it's a devil dog. And then all of a sudden, I heard about the Dogman. The ex-wife seen them pictures. You know, a little sketch, not actual pictures, but a sketch. And she says, Dwayne. She said, that's it. But, you know what the difference is? I said, I already know. She said, what? The skin color. We both said at the same time. The thing wasn't black or anything like that. It was a pinkish color, skin, wrinkled, legs like a hyena. The front legs were long. And as God is my witness, there's no way in I can forget what I seen. You know, I'm not going to lie about this. You know, I tell anybody out there, if you don't believe me, that's fine. It's okay. But you know something? I seen it. My ex-wife seen it. And if you ever go back into my history right now, you will see that all these people, yes, Dwayne and Lisa told us about this story years ago. Years. Yeah, some laughed and some was serious. But they would tell you, this story is freaking real. And I just thank God that Vic is on this right now to let me know what I seen. Because I never had no idea what was going on with this.
I'm not sure how much I've been able to help, but I'm so glad you found out about the show, and I'm so glad we were able to have our talk to hopefully work some of this out.
Hey, Vic, I'm going to tell you right now. I've been telling this story to my friends and family. Now, you are a different story. You can put that out there, and maybe somebody else has seen what we've seen. This has tormented my family for over 20 years, almost 21 years. We never knew what was going on with this. Never knew. Didn't have no idea, no nothing until now. So, I greatly appreciate this from the bottom of my heart.
Oh, you know you're welcome. There was a man who is the son of a woman who was actually a guest on the show. This man, or her son, I should say, he was in Michigan, if I remember correctly, going down this really remote road in, I think, a Jeep CJ, when he saw something that looked pretty much just like what you just described, a hairless dogman on the side of the road. This one was a little more apoplectic than the one that you encountered, although the one that you encountered wasn't exactly acting like a kitten either. Earlier in the show, you mentioned the fact that you're a religious man. In the past, have you called upon that religion to help you deal with the trauma of this encounter?
Yes, I did. I'm going to tell you right now. When we got home that night, we prayed. We prayed and asked for the Lord to guide us through this situation. Because, like I said, I have people, I have not, said, oh, yeah, say that I told you to say this, and whatever. People know before I even talk to you, Vic, that this happened. I'm a very Christian man. Very Christian man. My wife's a Christian. We went through this, and the wife had her Bible in the car when we left, and we prayed about what we were going to do, because she thought it was a demon that she seen that night. I didn't know. I'm like, man, all kind of things are going through our minds because we thought we were the only person that seen this creature that was out in that street that night. Until you came along, I did some research, I'm like, hey, what do we see? And then I came in contact with you, and I'm like, hey, Vic, here's my story. Tell me. Please tell me. It's been over 20 years. We've been wondering about this. But my wife always prayed about it. But you know something? She never came back to that street again. after it happened. So, right then and there, I'm like, wow. If I was a person on the outside looking in, if it didn't happen to me, I would probably say, oh, she's on some stuff, some good marijuana, dope, whatever. I would think that. But when it happened to me, oh no, it was a whole different story. Because I don't care if anybody out there doubts me about it, but the Lord knows what I seen was true. And I've always been true about it. And my friends would tell you, my family would tell you. 20 years ago, Wayne told us this story. And Lisa told us this story. So why would I lie about that, man? Come on.
It's unfortunate, but it's a fact. You know they're real. It's about time for us to get out of here, Dwayne, but before we do you have any closing comments you'd like to share?
The only thing I would like to share with everybody out there, like I said, I wasn't a believer until 20 years back when it happened to my wife and I. It changed my whole life. My wife would not even come back to the Midwest after this incident. So, all I can say is, you know something? There is more things out there that we don't know about. It took me 20 years now to put any kind of, I don't even know what the word to say. Anybody who's trying to help me to understand what my family and I have went to. Again, like I said, I left my job, a young man working for the city, my wife working for a good job. We had careers in this place until this happened. And that's what made us leave. So, if you want to research it, anything else, you will see exactly what happened to me and my family. Thank you.
You and your family were put in a really difficult situation. You handled that situation the best way you knew how. You deserve a lot of credit for handling it so well, all of you, including your wife, who maybe at first glance it might seem like she didn't handle it well, but in my opinion, she still did. But having said that, Dwayne, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show tonight and sharing all this with us. I really do appreciate it.
Hey, Vic, I just want to say I thank you so much for putting me on here and letting me tell about the story that happened to me and my family. Thank you so much.
You know you're welcome. Thanks again so much for your time. Have a great night.
You do the same, and thank you.
Thanks.